Guys, and welcome to Quality Shot. I'm really excited to be joined by Gill Gross. We're going to be going through a little bit of a preview to the Olympics. So the draw's just come out. So we're going to have a quick look through the draw, get Gill's expert opinion as always, and also a little bit about his thoughts on the upcoming Olympics. Obviously, you will know there's some people missing, like your Nadals, like your Federers, etc. There's still a lot of good players in here. Djokovic, to name one who will be a huge favorite, and of course Zverev, Medvedev, etc. So we're going to go through that. Gill, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
Let's do this. I haven't looked at this draw, so excited to. I've glanced at it. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
I haven't delved into it. So let's do this.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's do it. Fantastic. I've had a very quick glance as well, so it'll be good. Very authentic reactions. So as you can see at the top, we've got Schwartzman and Varillas and Carolina Busta and Sangren. I mean, that's not a bad one, Carolina Busta and Sangren. I think on the hard courts, though, what we're thinking is Sangren have a chance there.
No, I don't think so. I think let's watch out for Carreno because his clay court season was incredible, and he just won his first ATP 500 in Hamburg. And traditionally, despite being a Spanish grinder, his results are not as good on the clay as they are on the hard courts. So I think he's someone to watch when it comes to the North American hard court season. We'll see about the Olympics. It might be a little bit quick for him, but slow hard court is really the ideal surface for PCB. He's made 2 U.S. Open semifinals, and he's playing fantastic right now.
Yeah, he is. And Diego Schwartzman, Varillas, what do we think about Diego's chances on this surface?
Yeah, I think Tokyo's a little quick for him. I mean, I expect him to. I don't expect him to really go out to Varillas, but it's probably a little quick for him.
Yeah, Cilic as well against Menezes, which is decent. But I want to get through some of the real juicy ones. So do stop me if I'm as well not going through them correctly. So we will have a quick look. So we've got. I mean, here we go. I mean, this is one which Andy Murray would have been looking at thinking, what have you just done to me, Tokyo? Because I'm the 2-time reigning Olympic champion, and he put me in with a number 9 seed, Felix Auger-Aliassime, who I'm pretty sure he's got a losing record to as well. What are we thinking? Does Andy from the UK, our home favourite, does he have any chance of getting through that?
He has a chance. But I mean, obviously, so they played at the U.S. Open last year, and Andy was a little bit depleted for that one, but it was one-way traffic for FAA, no doubt about it. I think that obviously someone who just is going to be able to put Andy on the run and making him change direction and hit behind him as effectively as Felix does, the way he takes time away. And how big he hits off the ground on his forehand side. Difficult for the modern version of Andy because he's not quite as comfortable defending and fending off those kinds of attacks. Yeah,
agreed. I think it'll be interesting to see how fit Murray is as well. And I think Felix definitely, he'll be thinking the Canadians are just killing me. First in Wimbledon with Chapo and now Felix. But we'll see. Nishioka Khachanov is a pretty interesting one, I think. I mean, Khachanov obviously I think will be the favourite, but Nishioka's a pretty darn good place. That's quite a good first round matchup. What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, it stinks. There's no crowd, right? I mean, obviously Nishioka would be the hope on the men's. Well, and Nishikori, who we'll talk about later. But yeah, I mean, it's too bad that we don't have a crowd for those moments, and especially Osaka. I mean, that would have been very special. I would, again, I'm very interested to see if Khachanov can continue to play the kind of tennis that we saw him play at Wimbledon. If he does, he should be able to get through Nishioka, just the bigger player with a lot more firepower and pop from the back of the court.
Yeah, agreed. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I was going to ask you, one of the questions I was going to ask you after going through the draw was, what do you think in terms of the crowd? And then you're completely right. And I keep on forgetting that there's no crowd, which is actually such a shame because I feel like with a crowd, that's when you get the crazy winners, like potentially like winning because It's such a kind of Davis Cup or it's a Labour Cup feel to it, and a lot of players raise their level a lot with their crowd when they're playing for their country. So it'll be interesting to see what difference that makes. Umber and Andahar, I mean, Umber surely has to be a favourite, but I mean, I haven't seen a huge amount of him on the hard courts. I mean, you'll probably know a little bit better than me, but obviously it was impressive on the grass until meeting Nick Kyrgios. But I mean, that's not a terrible loss to have. What do you think of his chances in the hard court swing and also at the Olympics?
Yeah, Umber's great on the indoor hard courts. He had a very, very good fall last year. So, post US Open indoor hard, he looked very good. And I think he remains a dangerous player. As soon as the conditions get too heavy on him, he's really limited in what he can do because he doesn't have that much hit through the court power. It's much more about changing direction, absorbing, and redirecting the power. But I would expect that Umber can still be dangerous on this kind of surface.
Yeah, I agree. And that's interesting because his half of the draw, obviously, I'm looking at him and potentially Tsitsipas, who's got Kohlschreiber, which is not an easy first round for Tsitsipas. He's probably thinking as well, like, thank you for that. But what are we thinking about Tsitsipas in terms of recovering now from, I guess, that very disappointing Wimbledon loss? Is this going to be a bit too early for him, or do you think we're going to see a bit more of the kind of old reliable Tsitsipas that we expect to kind of potentially be a threat?
I'm not expecting that much from him. Okay. I'm not sure what kind of state he's in. I thought the loss against Krajinovic in Hamburg was not just any kind of loss. He didn't look like he was in a great headspace in that match. Distracted, testy, frustrated, and Krajinovic played great. But I'm wondering how Tsitsipas is feeling right now, just as a whole after that kind of performance. So he's someone to me. I mean, he could totally prove me wrong, and he could be deep in the tournament, looking inspired and looking focused. But we have seen him kind of go away a little bit mentally, not for matches, but for, maybe a couple weeks or a month. And then he kind of clicks back into the swing of things. He is a candidate to do that. So with that history in mind, and just considering how few matches he's played, how unsuccessful the foray at Hamburg was, where he was trying to get those matches in, I do think Tsitsipas might be a little bit vulnerable. It is a good section of the draw, though. I mean, I know Kohlschreiber is playing some decent tennis, but there's no real kind of disaster for him. Although him and Umber, I'd love to see. Yeah, agreed.
If he wins that and TFO wins, it'll be a replay of Wimbledon first round. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes on the hard courts. Bublik and Medvedev, I mean, that's been a lot of people talking about that. I mean, I don't see Bublik as being a huge threat to Medvedev, but some people are saying otherwise. What's your opinion on it?
Yeah, I think everybody needs to calm down about this matchup. I mean, it's look, if anything, that's going to be better for Bublik on clay, and Medvedev beat him quite easily at Roland Garros. Just considering Sasha's pretty good on the dirt, and it's Medvedev's worst surface. The way Medvedev is an elite returner, he's going to put the Bublik serve back in play a little bit more than he's used to. And then he's very good at putting Bublik on the run and into the corners and just not quite letting him get comfortable. And Medvedev's the much more patient player who's a lot more disciplined in the baseline rallies and has far better rally tolerance. So, I don't think it's overly threatening for Daniil.
Yeah, agreed. What about Gerasimov and Simon? That stands out to me as an interesting one. What do you think about that matchup? Evenly
matched? Which one is that?
Gerasimov and Simon.
Yeah, nothing jumps out. What do you think about that one? Nothing jumps out at me.
No, I think it's pretty evenly matched, to be honest with you. I just want to see. I think Simon is someone who's obviously a campaigner and been a long time. Gerasimov as well has been on decent form, but I don't really pick a winner. I think Fognini's got a pretty nice little section here, where I can see him blitzing through it really, and potentially meeting Medvedev in the quarters, which will be interesting. You'd obviously back Medvedev, but I think he's got a very interesting side of the draw or section, Medvedev, so it'll be interesting. I'll quickly just get up the top half. I've done it in the other way around. I've gone top half, bottom half, and top half rather than top half and bottom half, like I should have done, but it's all good. We'll go through that. But I mean, a lot of people saying that Djokovic has a pretty easy draw. I'll just get it up. When I say easy draw, not easy in the sense that obviously it's not his fault, but looking at that section, I think we can say he's probably going to be one of the heavy favourites. I mean, he's got Deli and then potentially, I mean, Jan Struff, can you see him or Montero giving Djokovic any issues?
I'm not positive about this, but I'm pretty sure Djokovic has handled Struff very, very well in his career. But as far as easy draw goes, I mean, yeah, Delane is a nice way to open. But anytime a player gets Struff, I don't really think that's a great draw. I just think he's so he plays so big and really takes away your rhythm. I think you need to be pretty focused and on point against Struff. And then Davidovich Fekina isn't really ready, but I do like his game. He's very explosive, and I think he can have his moments for sure, and is bound to have his moments because of how well he can play at times. He's generally not very level throughout a match. He kind of goes in and out, and that's where Djokovic might be able to gain his advantage. But this is best of three, so I think there are some interesting players in there, and obviously Lorenzo Musetti could also come out of that, if not ADF. And Musetti, we saw him backhand to backhand against Djokovic in Paris, have a lot of success just with his variety. So,
yeah, agreed. I was going to ask about Musetti. I mean, what do you think about his chances on the hard courts? Would it translate that game? That obviously he had a very good game on the clay. Does his game for you translate well onto the hard courts?
He's got work to do. His court positioning is very, very passive for the hard courts. If you rush him on the backhand side, he kind of struggles. His serve is obviously not a weapon that always is better on the clay, where you can get at least more returns in, so that you're on kind of equal footing. But on a quicker hard court, if he's actually in his section, nobody can really serve, so it'll be fine. But but yeah, again,
apologies if anyone's watching this from that section of the draw.
Look, you guys are all great players. You guys are all great players, but you guys know if you're watching, your serves are not your strengths. John Millman,
not very big.
Alejandro Davidovich Fekina, you guys are great at other stuff. But yeah, so Musetti, I think I'd like to see more. Don't get me wrong, but I think he thrives off of time. And I think when he's rushed a little bit, and he can get a little bit overpowered on the faster surfaces.
Yeah, I agree. Monfils and Ivashka. For some reason, I feel like Monfils can potentially get upset there. But what do you think? Or do you think that's an easy one for Monfils?
No, I agree. Ivashka's playing awesome. He's really taking the ball big and early, serving big as well. And I really like where his confidence is at. He's won a ton of matches. He's one of those dangerous players, when players start to get on a roll at the challenger level, like we saw it with Federico Coria, who just made the final of a tour level event in Bastad, or we saw it with Karatsev at the end of 2020, kind of bleeding those dominant challenger results onto tour level. Ivashka might be able to do the same here, as he's just won a ton of matches this year. And now he's gotten his ranking up. So he's a very dangerous player, and Monfils is still trying to sort things out. And I do hope that Gael gets some momentum at some point, because he's struggling with himself right now.
Yeah, he is. Although he's not struggling in his personal life after just getting married to Lina Svitolina. So congrats to them anyway.
Congrats.
They had a very interesting, a very cool wedding actually. Some of the stuff that so some of the pictures, which is
Yes.
cool. Maybe he'll take that and he'll be so happy after that. It might just give him the motivation he needs to just completely go on a ridiculous run. Who knows? Or maybe the opposite. He's enjoyed himself too much. Who knows? Going through the rest then a little bit then. Nishikori and Rublev, I mean, that is a very horrific first round for Nishikori at home. Nishioka obviously got Kachanov, Nishikori and Rublev. I mean, the Japanese supporters are like, what the heck?
I know.
What do you think? I mean, Rublev you'd obviously probably back, but Nishikori, can he do it? Surely in the best of three.
I'm going to go with Nishikori, and I know the odds will be. I know the odds will favor Rublev, but I think this is a time for a little bit of Olympic magic for Kei. He's in enough form right now, and Rublev, I think, might be questioning himself enough after two disappointing results in the majors, where I do think that Kei can be right in this one. Nishikori is fighting hard out there. He's in every match he's playing right now. He's lost some tight ones, but I think it's going to be a good one and a fun one. You know, tactically, Kei in counterpunching mode, I think he'll kind of enjoy that, and I think they're just going to go toe to toe, and it's going to be sort of a battle of wills. But I kind of like Kei right now on his home court in that kind of matchup. It's going to be very iron on iron. I don't think we're going to see that much variety in the baseline rallies. They're just going to be kind of going toe to toe. Rublev might have a little bit more power than Kei, but I think Kei can. I think Kei can mix things up a little bit more with his directionals. And again, I like him on the spirit and the heart and the confidence.
Yeah, all the Japanese subscribers, if I have any, will be so happy about that. It's interesting, isn't it? Because Rublev hits so big, but if Nishikori can just force errors out of Rublev, which we have seen in the past, force him into the backhand corner, especially, kind of stop him from running around the backhand, then you don't know. And if Nishikori, back in the day when he was a top 10 player, he was in those he had. The form that he had was incredible in terms of just being that counter puncher that was, one of the best around at the time. So if you can find a little bit of that form, then who knows? And as you said, a little bit of the home support. I mean, yes, there won't be any crowd there, but he'll feel that kind of sense of pride, I think, playing at home. Zverev seems to have a relatively kind of pretty decent draw for him section. I'm looking really. Basilashvili, you've got Carbelas Bayana, Daniil and Sonego. I'm looking at that really and thinking Zverev and Sonego. Can you see any other way?
But Basilashvili, potentially. I think if it's Zverev Basilashvili, that's a terrible matchup for the Georgian, just in terms of how Zverev absorbs pace so well.
Yeah.
Zverev has gotten very good draws this year. I don't know. 2021's treating him nicely.
The complete opposite of team.
Everyone. What's that?
The complete opposite of team, isn't it? Unfortunately.
Yeah. Don't get mad at me, Zverev fans. It'll even out. He'll get his tough draws. Don't worry. I'm not taking away from him. But they've been cushy, and this is pretty good for him. Sonego. Sonego kind of is who he is, right? But now I like him representing the country. I think when he gets his juices flowing and he ramps up a certain level of intensity on the court, that's when he plays his best. I don't know, will he just feel that from the Olympics, or does he really need a crowd there? We saw how good he was in Rome. We saw how passionately he has contested some of the biggest matches in his career. He had a good grass court season. He's got a great serve. I couldn't see him taking out Zverev unless Zverev is well below his best.
Yeah, agreed. I think Zverev is definitely the favorite in that section for sure, a heavy favorite. The bottom section is a little bit more open, I think, with Karatsev and Tommy Paul. You've got we've got Liam Brody in there, but I don't know how well he's going to be able to do. You've got Fuchsovich and Hurkacz, which I think is a really good matchup. What do you think of that one? I mean, that could be an upset, surely.
Awesome matchup. Yeah, that's great. I would kind of like Fucsovic, I think.
Okay.
Well, let's see. Hurkacz now needs to back up the big result.
Yeah.
And he didn't do that after Miami. I think, let's see, is there hangover effect? Is there a little bit of a letdown here? Obviously, Fucsovic had a great Wimbledon as well. He made it all the way to Djokovic in the quarterfinal. I think he is so consistent week to week, Martin, especially with his fitness and his durability. I don't know exactly what Hurkacz's schedule has been, but I feel for anyone who had to go back to the U.S. after Wimbledon and now has to go back to Tokyo. I think that's it's brutal. I'd rather be a European in this case. By the way, Hurkacz, just to be clear, he is European, but he lives in Florida.
Okay.
So. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I agree that it's wide open. This is an opportunity where we could get like Jeremy Chardy is in the quarterfinal here, or a Fucsovic, or maybe even a Cerundolo.
Yeah, agreed. I fancy Karatsev because of his Australian Open kind of exploits, but obviously didn't really back up on the grass, but he didn't look comfortable on there. So I don't know. Let's see. Let's see how he does on the hards, and hopefully he can rekindle some of that form he found in the Australian Open. Because if so, he's a handful for anyone. So let's see.
Yes.
In terms of then the men's draw, so I'm just going to put you on the spot. I mean, who's your favourite? It's got to be Djokovic, or are you going to go left field for me, Gill? And then, if so, that'd be great because I won't take the flack of all the subscribers.
Look, I think this is going to be a lot tougher for Novak than I would say all the other slams that he's played. I think at some point it might be difficult for him to keep up the energy. I mean, I would favor him over everyone else still, just because. I think he can will himself. I think he can will his way to winning the gold medal here. But I do think that there is a real good chance that he could burn out here. After that, I do think we could get a funky winner. I think we could get a funky champion. But there's no one. And I haven't put that much thought into it. Zverev, I'm hesitating with the serve, and I just, when could that be an issue now? Although it's really difficult to predict because you turn around and it's not an issue. I like Zverev on the surface. Medvedev, I like on the surface. Karatsev, I think, is an interesting one and a fun one.
Yeah.
How good he was on the hard courts. The clay court season, he was okay, but not great. And then the grass, he looked uncomfortable. And is he up there? Is he that contender? So, I'm going to pick Novak, but I also want to pick a second guy. I do, and I would say Zverev. I just think it's that unpredictable, obviously up and down kind of mentality with him, but. I do think that he's generally very good on these kinds of hard courts. And in best of three, he hasn't been great as of late, but he started his career excellent in the best of three format. And I do think that obviously on any hard court, and I think he's been pretty good in Asia as well. He's been good in Shanghai.
Yeah.
I do think he can be a threat.
Yeah, no, it's hard to disagree. I'm going to go really left field. I think, Djokovic is definitely the favorite, but I think if Rublev comes through against Nishikori, I'm going to go with Rublev.
Okay.
The king of the ATP 500s.
I'd love to see that, man. I mean,
it'll be great. I think it would be the kind of. I think it would. To be fair, for Zverev, it would also help boost him. I think going to the US Open, and he'll be able to say, "Look, I've got Olympic gold. Hardly any tennis players have got it in this generation." And if, for example, Rublev gets it as well, that would be a big, I think, stepping stone to say, you know what, I'm good enough. I can win these. I can go on now win majors. So, but yeah, I would love to see him win it. To be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, I think Pablo Carreño Busta is someone to watch. He's going clay to hard here after Hamburg, so I don't know if that is a challenge for him, but it's another person kind of in the back of my mind.
Yeah, agreed. Before we wrap up, actually, I just want to get your view on a couple of the kind of potential routes for two of the women's players, Osaka and Barty, and then also just then get your. It's so open, the women's draw, that I was going to do the women's draw, but I just think it's so open. There's quite a few dropouts, and also the draw is just super open. So let's just start off with Ash Barty. So she's got potential kind of, these are what we're thinking is going to be her kind of route potentially if she is to make the finals. So Tsitsipas, Tormo, Sevastova, Pavlyuchenkova, Krejcikova, Sabalenka, and Osaka. So I think from round 3 onwards, it's pretty tough, to be fair.
I think I think it's a gauntlet. Again, you never know in the women's game. Obviously, the seeds tend to hold up a little bit less, but I really don't think Krejcikova is going anywhere. I think I think she's here to stay. I don't think she's like a Muguruza or a Ostapenko that are just going to kind of drop off a little bit after the slams, even though Muguruza is kind of back in some form. So I actually think Krejcikova could get her back after the Wimbledon loss here. So I think it's very difficult. And then Sabalenka, I'm tempted, I'm tempted to think that also she could have a really big event here.
Yeah, she could. I agree. I think she definitely had a breakthrough, didn't she, at Wimbledon?
Yeah.
That was a big breakthrough for her. Yes, she didn't make the final, but she made her first ever semi, so that's a big breakthrough. And it's interesting, like Krejcikova, I love her game because she's obviously a serial doubles winner, and then she's suddenly now come to single stage, but she's got that big serve when it goes in the first serve, volley as well is good. And Sabalenka is just power really personified for the most part, but struggles a little bit with kind of containing that and playing at the right moments. But I think that was a big breakthrough. So this could be something where she's representing her country, and it could have a big effect on her. And then, I mean, the final that everyone I think wouldn't be unhappy to see is her versus Osaka, which would be an absolute cracker. I'm just going to really get up Osaka's draw, and then I just want to get your view quickly on. Well, I know you're saying Sabalenka will have a big one, but maybe on a couple of the players that you think are going to do well, apart from I think Osaka and Barty, and get your kind of predicted winner. So she's potentially got Zeng and then Golubic, who, to be fair, had a very decent Wimbledon. Kiki Bertens, Swiatek, Svitolina, and Barty. So again, that's not an easy run. From really from round 2, round 3 onwards. What are your thoughts on it?
I think this is a good draw. I think when it comes to fast court serving, Osaka can find an edge over Swiatek, and it's more going to be about Osaka, I think, and where is she at mentally, and is she focused on the court with everything that's happening off the court, and did she have good training blocks leading up to this? Svitolina, I mean, I don't have – actually, now she's Monfils, by the way, so this pick's wrong.
I didn't do it. It was US Open, so you can blame them.
No. Yeah, I know.
But sorry, versus Monfils. I get so confused a bit of what they're talking about. Gail Monfils is not in the women's draw.
Yeah. Monfils can win a slam again. Her chances are rejuvenated. I mean, we'll see what happens with Osaka. I don't know who else is in Svitolina's quarter. I would like to see that because I don't have that much confidence that in the form that she's in that she's in the semifinal.
Agreed.
But Kiki, is this her last? This is her last event, or will she keep playing?
I'm not sure actually. I think it may be her last event. I mean, she's had a pretty long career, but I'm not sure whether it's her last event or not. I need to have a look into that. But yeah, Swiatek. I mean, what do you think of Swiatek on the hard courts? I mean, can she do well on the hard courts? There's not really a it's not really a surface I kind of associate her with playing particularly well on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think there's I would say obviously it's not going to be clay for her, but she's not going to be bad. You know, she's got a fantastic game with how well she moves and how well she hits on the run and her high margin kind of aggressive forehand. I just think that she's not really the serve plus one player that some of the other players are. She's not the Sabalenka or the Osaka or the Serena or really even the Barty in terms of just her serve plus one prowess. Yeah. And you know, that's why she loses a little bit also when she when her opponents are able to take time away from her. She's a contender though. I stand by that. And then, you know, I think the US Open plays pretty close to the clay courts. I mean, in reality, obviously players aren't moving the same way or sliding the same way, but I think the speed and the height of bounce, I do think it's pretty similar. So I think Swiatek is still someone to watch.
Agreed. Come on, Rafa. Sorry, that's my inner Rafa Nadal fan coming out after winning 4 US Opens. Hopefully he can win a slam. Who knows, but anyway. Just on Kiki Bertens, you're right. It's her last year. So I'm assuming she will play the US Open and then call it quits, or whatever tournaments after the US Open and then call it quits. But she's apparently won 10 singles tournaments and 10 doubles titles in her career. So impressive stuff from Kiki Bertens. Only 29 as well, so she's not super old, but interesting that she's going to call it quits. To wrap up then on the women's then, so you've given me a few of, I think we've got Swiatek, Sabalenka, I'm assuming Barty and Osaka in the mix as well. Serena in there as well, potentially?
No, I don't think... No, she's not playing.
She's not playing, sorry. What am I talking about? Ignore me. She's not playing. I even did the Olympics in and outs, and I was like, I've just said that. That was wrong. Sorry, not Serena. Who's your pick then, though? If you had to pick one, let's say your favourite, and then someone who's maybe a bit more of a dark horse, let's say.
Sabalenka is my favorite. And Krejcikova is my second favorite.
Okay.
So I think I would look the other way on. I'm looking the other way on Barty just because I think it's hard to come down from winning Wimbledon, and also she's been a little bit banged up, you know, and I just think she might be feeling it a little bit. Good for her for fighting through it. Yeah. And then, you know, Osaka, again, it's kind of the lack of rhythm, the lack of match play, the off-the-court stuff. I kind of look the other way there. You know, obviously Serena not in the mix. It's not a clay court, so I won't take Swiatek. Svitolina, nah. Pliskova, no. So those are kind of my two that I like the best. I like Krejcikova. I really think she's legit. And but I'm gonna pick Sabalenka. Sabalenka is so, you know, it's such a high risk game, and she can really lose to anyone, but she can also beat anyone. So it's scary to pick her, but I'll go that way with her positive momentum, her good feelings, and a quick hard court, which should suit her very nicely.
I'm assuming you're not a betting man, Gill, because you could be out of a lot of money betting on Sabalenka a lot. But no, I agree with you. I do agree with you. I think Sabalenka, after having a fantastic Wimbledon, and she does have a high-risk game for sure, but I think it's clicked for the most part for the last, year and a bit. So it's definitely falling into place, and she's still very young. I think she's 23. So she's still maturing and finding her feet. But she's definitely got the game to go and win it. So that would be an interesting one. I think, who am I going to go with? I don't know. I kind of almost went with Rublev because he went out early in Wimbledon, so I felt like, early-ish. So I felt like he's got more time to recover. I agree with you. I think Barty will be she'll feel a hangover from Wimbledon. Osaka, maybe, if she's been training a lot. She missed Wimbledon, so maybe she'll come in fresh. But Krejcikova as well is an interesting one. I'm interested to see how she does. But I don't know. I think I'm going to go left field. I'm going to go Swiatek. That's a very weird one to go with, but I'm going to go with her. Obviously, losing to Jabeur, who had a fantastic Wimbledon tournament. I was rooting for her, actually, really exciting player. But yeah, let's see how she does. Let's see how she does find it. But I agree with you. I think, well, obviously, we're not. This isn't the US Open chat, but she will do quite well at the US Open, I'm sure, as well.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to touch on before we wrap up again about the Olympics?
Yeah, looking forward to it. I'm gonna be watching a lot of Atlanta and Kitzbühel actually, because I'll be on Tennis Channel's coverage of those tournaments. So
shout out!
Yeah, I'm gonna be like the tennis. I'm gonna be a little bit hipster and watching a lot of the tour events during the Olympics. So.
Oh no! How can you do that, Gill?
I'm excited though. I'll get my Olympics viewing in.
You'll get your fill, I'm sure. I'm sure you will. Yes. You'll be so tennised out, I'm sure, after covering like 5 events. But no,
that doesn't happen. Never.
Never. Exactly. Never. Don't say that. It's a complete blasphemy, to be honest with you. But no, thanks a lot, Gill, though, for being on. I really appreciate it, and all the best and good luck as well for all the coverage that you're doing for Tennis Channel. Sounds amazing. Obviously, I here in the UK am not privy to it, and I'm not able to access it. But I'm sure the guys in the US, and is it Canada as well? Whereabouts can they access Tennis Channel?
Yeah, just the US. I'm pretty sure no Canada.
No Canada. Okay.
Don't quote me.
Don't quote you. Okay, I won't quote you, but potentially just Canada then. Sorry, potentially just Canada. You just said not Canada, potentially just the US even.
Yes.
But
You're definitely there.
Definitely. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, thanks again for taking some time out of your busy schedule. I appreciate it. And guys, if you haven't already, which I'm sure everyone has, go and check out Gill Gross on YouTube and make sure you click the subscribe button as well. And of course, if you just want to listen to it audio, then he is also on podcast platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I think you said Spotify's, I'm going to say subscribe. No, follow. And Apple Podcasts is subscribe. That's what you said. So
yeah,
I remember that.
I'll have to, yeah, I'm Google Podcasts. I'll have to investigate. I'm not sure which way they went.
Oh, fair enough. Google Podcasts as well. Fair enough. So he's on everything. He's on, and of course, 3 a tennis show as well. I'm assuming that will be up and running during the US Open again.
Yeah.
Yep. So obviously some incredible insight on there. So do go and check it out. Okay, thanks very much, Gill. Appreciate it, guys. Do remember to smash the like button, subscribe button. You know all the drill. Thank you. I do appreciate it, and thank you again, Gill, for being on.
All right. Thanks, Faizan.